In today's video, we're going to be going through and discussing Meridia's Daedric Shrine quest. In order to begin this quest, we must be at least level 10. None of the NPCs in the game will tell us where the shrine is, so as far as finding it goes, we're on our own. However, lucky for us, it isn't too far off the beaten path. Heading west along the Gold Road from Skingrad, we're likely to see the icon for the shrine pointing north. Arriving, we see the three standard Daedric worshippers. In the robes, we have Basil Ernard, the male Redguard is Demetrius, and the Imperial is Javolia Mabaril. The specific location of Meridia Shrine is west of Skingrad. It's a short distance east from Shard Rock, and a short distance west from Cursed Mine. And as mentioned previously, it's north along the Gold Road just after Skingrad. We speak with Demetrius and Javolia for some dialogue.
All things speak with the voice of life, even the bones of the earth.
Life is a blessing, and death is not the end, but only when the spirit remains incorruptible.
We now turn over to Arnard to speak with him.
What business do you have with Meridia, Lady of Infinite Energies?
We ask about the shrine.
The spark of life is within you, and you are welcome here at Meridia's shrine. It is possible she will speak to you, under certain conditions. Leave an offering at this shrine. Meridia demands tribute in the form of the remains of her enemies, the undead.
Ernard tells us how to contact Meridia. However, what he says is fairly vague. We need to give her the remains of an undead. Well, as it turns out, this is actually a fairly easy task. We can give her anything that was looted off of an undead creature. So this could range from mort flesh from a zombie, bone meal from a skeleton, or even ectoplasm from a ghost or wraith. To make this quest even easier, there's actually a sample of ectoplasm at Meridia's shrine. Just behind the bench that is more northwest, at the right corner facing Meridia, we'll see the sample that we can use as an offering. Picking up the ectoplasm and approaching the Daedric Lord, we speak with her. We're asked if we wish to make an offering. We accept.
By the detritus of the profane I am brought forth, and by your offering you have made the profane your interest mortal. The undead are foul, unnatural things. Some of my rivals take pleasure in these abominations. Not Meridia. I wish these creatures destroyed. Hidden behind a door, deep in Howling Cave, are necromancers. They rob graves for the materials to raise their undead armies. Find these necromancers, destroy them and their abominations. Do this, and earn the gratitude of Meridia.
It's at this point we get a quest update. Meridia's Daedric Shrine quest is as simple as it sounds. We're to go to this cavern called Howling Cave and defeat a bunch of necromancers. Howling Cave is east of our current location. It is also east of Skingrad and east of Bloodcrust Cavern. It's northeast of Cylorn and northwest of the Priory of the Nine. We fast travel over to Bloodcrust Cavern and make our way to the Howling Cave from there. Before setting off, we make sure all of our gear is completely repaired, as well as fully charged. There's a few bandit camps that will pass along the way. If you want to engage in a fight, you can, but we thought it best to keep our gear in its best condition. After a short walk out, we found the supposed secret entrance to Howling Cave. There are destroyed cobblestone walls lining the perimeter, as well as broken and desecrated tombstones stood up within. The main giveaway that there are necromancers present is we actually see a dug up grave with a corpse in it. Another surefire way to know if there will be undead in this cave is that they all happen to have the same hooded statue figure next to the entrance. Entering inside, we prepared ourselves for anything. Our first enemy encounter was a rat. We switched over to the Blade of Woe as we didn't want to waste our charge with Goldbrand. The next enemy we fought too was also a rat. It turns out this first little area here is filled with nuisance animals. We take a look around and see 3 different pathways that we can take. Looking at the local map, we see that our green quest marker points us to the northmost passageway. Descending down, we come across 2 undead, which is a telltale sign that we're on the right track. We see a skeleton champion as well as a netherlich. Switching over to Goldbrand, the fire enchantment works wonders when it comes to killing undead. First, the skeleton champion went down, then we targeted the netherlich and sent it back to the void. we see that it dropped a Staff of Ruin, which our character won't really use, but it will definitely make a great piece to sell for some gold. We follow the pathway, which bends a corner and reveals a rock wall. Getting close to it, it actually lowers on its own. On the other side, we see the secret passageway leading to the Howling Cave lower galleries. Entering on through, we see that there are now 5 green quest markers, indicating there are 5 necromancers for us to kill. In the first area, all hell breaks loose immediately. We face off against 2 necromancers, a gloom wraith, a headless zombie, a skeleton hero, and a lich. Right away, we take down the 2 necromancers as they're the easiest and have the least amount of health. This will also negate any chances of them summoning another undead to help them in battle. Next, we defeat the gloom wraith. After recharging Goldbrand, we slash down the headless zombie. Then our next target was the skeleton hero, and finally, we approach and attack the nether lich. After it goes down, we turn around to see a wraith has been drawn over by all the commotion. We defeat the wraith, and finally are left in peace for the time being. Our character's level is in the mid-20s. We have an amazing heavy armor set and a fantastic leveled enchanted Daedric weapon. And still, we were incredibly close to becoming overwhelmed. I believe that if our character was in the mid-teens, and we weren't as proficient with our skills as we currently are, and maybe our weapons and armor weren't that good, this would be an incredibly difficult quest to complete. Interestingly, looting the necromancers, they have a whole bunch of potions and some incredible loot on them. If it's loot we don't want to use, it can definitely fetch a pretty penny. We look around the area to see if there's anything that offers up some lore. However, there are no notes or unique books. We leave this area and travel around the corner through another passageway. This leads us to a 3rd necromancer. The necromancer summons a faded wraith to its side. However, we focus our attacks on the dark wizard, but he gets some good attacks in though and staggers us a whole bunch, but ultimately, we take care of them. We look into their inventory and again see a whole plethora of potions. According to several wiki sources, this is due to a bug. Apparently, the necromancers are spawned in at the start of the game, and due to our level being high and their level increasing with us, their number of overall potions increases in their inventory. So it's definitely not the best of reasons to do this Daedric Shrine quest later, but if you wanted to find some cheap and inexpensive potions, and a lot of them, this would be a great quest to do. We leave this small area, go back to the main room, and continue onwards down a different path. We're met with a fork in the road, although it appears that either way there's a necromancer. We decide to go straight ahead and come across a gloom wraith as well as a dark wizard. We begin the battle when all of a sudden the 2nd necromancer gets pulled into the room. We begin violently and frantically swinging away, when during the commotion, both necromancers end up falling. This prompts us to receive a quest update that we've successfully killed all of the necromancers in Howling Cave. We close the notification and defeat the wraith, again resulting in our temporary peace. We go ahead and loot the rest of the necromancers, receiving all of their potions and scrolls. There are a bunch of coffins lining the walls of Howling Cave, and looting these could result in some good treasure. However, it does seem like the best and most expensive loot comes from the inventory of the dark wizards. As we were on our way out, we're attacked by a nether lich. Again, for our level and our equipment, this is no problem to take out. Before leaving, we decide to take the other passageway at the fork in the road. Here we come across a faded wraith, which actually belongs to another nether lich. We take out the nether lich and look around this area. Other than some basic loot, the hanging corpses, and the coffins, there really isn't too much else in here. We leave the lower galleries and go back into the first zone. We look around a little bit here as well to see if there's anything we missed. However, for the most part, it's just dead ends, silver veins, and more nuisance animals. A really interesting part of this quest is that we can actually go inside of this cave at any time and kill the necromancers. Since they're non-respawning, upon speaking with Meridia at her Daedric Shrine, your quest will automatically update, saying that you can return back to her for your reward. However, as various wiki sources detail, it's probably best to take out the necromancers while this quest is active, as you can actually see where they are in the cave. This way, if you'd rather just run inside, take out the necromancers, and leave as the undead can be overwhelming, it makes it a good option. Once everything is said and done, we fast travel back to Meridia's shrine and speak with the Daedric Lord.
Well done. Those creatures were an affront to all life, and they have paid the price for their actions. Take this ring and go with my blessing.
And with that, we get another quest notification that because Meridia was happy with our services, we not only completed the quest, but were rewarded with a Daedric artifact. We speak with Ernard for some dialogue.
What business do you have with Meridia, Lady of Infinite Energies? Meridia has spoken to you, and for that you are blessed.
We can now take a look at our reward. Meridia gave us the Ring of Khajiit. It's a unique and enchanted ring. If we wanted to sell it, it could fetch 4,775 gold, but its enchantments are Chameleon for 35% on self, as well as Fortify Speed for 10 points on self. We're likely going to use this ring for our Thieves Guild endeavors. Now let's talk a little bit about the Daedric Prince of Meridia, as well as the Ring of Khajiit. As per information looked up across several wiki sources, Meridia is one of the few Daedric princes not considered to be completely evil. As seen per this quest, she has an extreme disdain towards the undead faction. Reading directly from the unofficial Elder Scrolls pages, with fervor, she reveals purity within chaos, aiming to abolish false life so that the Mundus may be reforged with the fire of new light. As such, Meridia has a reputation for benevolence. However, quite interestingly, as we know from the Knights of the Nine DLC, Meridia was the one to grant Umaril the Unfeathered immortality through her Daedric realm. Again, quoting the unofficial Elder Scrolls pages, to really detail the good and bad deeds of Meridia, we read, "In spite of this, she is referred to as the Glister Witch, or the Lady of Greed, by those who view her less favorably, with a habit of collecting live human specimens to satiate said greed. To her enemies, Meridia is known for her violent loathing of disorder, as well as her obsessiveness, self-righteousness, irrational anger towards entities she deems impure, and hatred of mortal free will and defiance. She believes that free will should be surrendered to passion. Destiny is fulfilled for the vessel." These articles were specifically picked out in order to detail her discrepancies. Now, as for the Ring of Khajiit, it actually has its own article in Tamrielic lore written by Yagrum Bagarn. In this literature, it goes by Ring of Khajiit. The article reads, "The Ring of the Khajiit is an ancient relic, hundreds of years older than Rajin, the thief that made the ring famous. It was Rajin who used the ring's power to make himself invisible and as quick as the breath of the wind. Using the ring, he became the most successful burglar in Elswere's history. Rajin's eventual fate is a mystery, but according to legend, the ring rebelled against such constant use and disappeared, leaving Rajin helpless before his enemies. Apparently, this ring can be associated with the two Daedric princes, Mephala and Meridia. The original owner was apparently Mephala, and it was then stolen by Rajin. The Ring of the Khajiit makes an appearance in the installments of Daggerfall, Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim. During the events of Daggerfall, Meridia gave the ring to an Agent of the Blades, aka our character, in return for defeating a sorcerer who went back on an agreement they had made with the Daedric Prince. During the events of Morrowind, it was actually Mephala that gave the Nerevarine the ring. The ring was rewarded to our character in exchange for killing a rogue member of the Morag Tong who was killing without orders. We obviously know how the ring is obtained during the events of Oblivion, and for the events of Skyrim, the ring was actually handed over to the Dragonborn by a Khajiit trainer known as Rasad. So instead of one of the two Daedric princes handing it over, it's actually a merchant who wants us to help find his aged Flynn. Once we've recovered all 3 bottles, we gladly trade them over for the very powerful Daedric artifact. With that, thus officially concludes Meridia's Daedric Shrine quest.